Right, so welcome back to the broadcast. Dr. Ignatius Kibe joins us this morning as we get to, expound on last week's conversation. We're talking about reproductive health. We focused much on the women, but today we want to shift focus on the men. Infertility is one thing that we struggle with, in our family setup, and we keep seeing most of the times fingers pointed at the women. We say it's a whole different thing. Sometimes if you do not seek, medical help, you would end up blaming, each other. We've had instances where we've had conversations on violence on the home setup, and a majority of these cases triggered by the aspect of the fact that, we are not able to get babies, after we have married. So we want to save ourselves, we want to help ourselves. We might not do it in totality like 100%, but we say about 90-something% of these cases are cases that crop up because of the kinds of lifestyle that we live. And so Dr. who's a specialist, will tell us some of the things that we need to run away from so that we save ourselves from this scenario, which is quite dire. It's acrimonious and it's painful a scenario. So Dr. once again, thank you so much for creating time for us on this health segment of Morning Cafe as we delve into understanding reproductive health amongst men or in men.
Thank you, and I wish to welcome men.
Yes.
Last time Linda welcomed ladies.
The ladies, yes, and
now,
we say the men too. And so today you're welcoming the men, and I'm saying the ladies too.
Please, ladies, gentlemen, and the others, please welcome. I don't know what I'll be asked, but I'm already and willing to discuss. One thing I must say in the outset is that in reproduction, and especially in childbearing, the responsibility is dual. The responsibility is for the two people. And even when the baby doesn't come, the blame is equally between the two. Women probably contribute to 55% of problems. But men also, they take the 45%, and sometimes it supersedes. You find in some situations, in some communities, in some lifestyles, sometimes it's men who just cannot sire.
Right.
And you are leading me, but I would like to say that it can even start very early in life. You get a man who looks healthy and big and bearded and biceps and heavy and muscular and also, although it's early in the morning, very good in the bedroom.
Okay.
He is. Oh yes. Kumbe, he has fluid, and ejaculate that is like distilled water. Hakuna ene. Zero.
Okay.
So we have such men, and it's quite a big percentage, and is increasing, I don't know why, where men are, we use the language, azoospermic. An azoospermic man will be very good in the bedroom, will be very muscular, he looks handsome, laddish, but he just doesn't have a single sperm cell in his ejaculate.
Okay.
So that can happen. And then there is also this other class of men who, very unfortunately, from childbirth, you find some men are born, when you touch their back, where the potatoes stay, there is nothing.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Some of these things we need to know as early as now.
And that's why in the African culture, you would find the old ladies, shoshos, the grandparents were very good at checking these things. They would immediately after a baby boy is bathed or washed, they would ask for the baby. And they would play with the baby, and throw him up and down and play games with the baby boy. In the process, she touches the lower side.
Okay.
She checks whether there are things there. And then you'll hear her say, hey, Baba, yes,
Okay, so
yes,
then
my husband.
good.
Now, and when the boy starts on, he says, yeah, yes, Baba. That is the grandmother adoring and checking those babies. You people,
Right.
the young generation, you don't know, and you don't take your children to your grandmothers. It's very unfortunate.
Really?
That situation is called cryptochindism. Cryptochindism is a situation where the viazes, the potatoes, the testes, let me call it, do not just descend. They remain up there.
Okay.
And that man will not sire.
Can that be addressed at that tender age? Can that be fixed?
Well, yes, we can do surgical intervention. Sometimes you find when the spermatic cord is short, or when it is trapped in a place we call the inguinal canal. It gets stuck, or they get stuck. Sometimes they are both sides, sometimes it's only one side.
Okay.
And that person, and I wish to say this because it's very serious, because these people who are cryptochindic, who have only one side, or both sides with their testes, their fertility is 0 if they are both sides, or very little if
it's one side.
It's one side.
Okay.
And a bit unfortunately, and this is good information for parents, young parents especially, at a later stage in life, say at 30 years, 40 years, these people are higher at the risk of cancer of the testes. So cryptochindism can precipitate cancer. And if it is corrected in good time, it can recover. So that is the second category of men. We started with an azoospermic man. This is a category of babies whose testes have just not come down. And like I said, it's a very small and simple surgical procedure and intervention that pulls it down. Of course, it depends on why at all it got stuck up there. Now, there are also men who don't just have sufficient nguvu.
Okay.
The language, nguvu za kiume. Everybody is shouting nguvu za kiume. What does that mean? Now, when we do semen analysis, Linda, we do semen analysis. We're looking for at least 13, 14 parameters, 13, 14 points. The first one that we look at is the volume. The volume. How much does this man pour out at an ejaculate, one single ejaculate?
Okay.
And more particularly, if he has stayed for a long time, or at least a week before he does his thing.
Right.
We look at the volume. It should be between half a teaspoonful and a full teaspoonful. That is 2.5 cc to 5 cc. That is a normal man.
Small spoon and the big spoon. Right?
A small spoon, the one for
2.5 is the small one. I think 5.
5 cc
Teaspoonful
is a teaspoonful. The one for corrogating sugar.
Yes.
If a man has less than half a teaspoonful, we say the volume is not proper. Okay. And we, of course, advise him, like you said, there is a lifestyle, there is, of course, the diet, again, his health status. So we check all these things. We also check the pH. The women's private parts are usually acidic. The man should be neutralish. If a man's pH, that is acid base, you remember primary school litmus paper?
Yes.
We used to say
litmus test.
litmus test, that it's red or bluish, depending on the acid level. It should be near neutral. Men's pH should be near neutral. If it is too basic, it's not good. If it's too acidic, it's not good.
Okay.
It should be near 7. 7.5, 6.8, around there. Because if it is too, we want to see the swimming, you know, these cells are microscopic. The sperm cell is microscopic.
Okay.
Can barely see it. And it is supposed to go a long, long distance. It has to go through the external genitalia, the V. It has to go, and there are some men, as they do their thing, they get excited and they come out a little bit.
Okay.
And the distance is longer. And a woman's V could be as much as 7 inches.
Okay.
So if it depends on where he poured. So if it is very far inside, well, good, and that is also a chance for a boy.
Okay. Oh, I hope you had that. I hope you had that. The struggle is real out here, Dr.
Yes.
The struggle is real.
And now this, the deeper it is, the higher the chances of
getting a boy.
Now, it has to swim, like I said, 7 inches at the most, and probably 1 inch or 2 if he does it deep inside.
Okay.
Now, it has to go through the cervix. The cervix is not a dot. It's not just a point. It's not that circle that we normally draw. It is a good 6 inches. So you can now see this microscopic cell is supposed to swim through a very rough 6 inches of the cervix. And then it enters the uterus. Uterus is a whole world for a sperm cell.
Okay.
You can imagine, and it's possible that Linda gets triplets. It's possible.
It is possible.
So you can imagine 3 babies in a womb. 3 babies each weighing 2.5 kilos. That is huge. 7.5 kilos. And we are not counting or including the fluid, blood, you know, the where it is swimming, you know, all this. So you can imagine the size of that infuko, the size of that uterus bag is huge.
Yeah.
It could be as much as in some women.
You saw the lady who got 9 babies in Malawi?
9 babies the other day.
That was huge.
Yes, so the uterus is a big place and the sperm cell is supposed to swim across. So we also check, does the sperm cell have sufficient energy? Fructose is the energy, is the source of energy. And some men, especially men who imbibe, who drink a lot, they have no energy.
Oh.
Their sperm.
When you say drink, this is alcohol.
Alcohol.
Okay.
Not coffee. Not my coffee.
I was almost telling you, Dr. Watch out.
Now, so it traverses the uterus. Now it has to go to the fallopian tubes, another 8 inches.
Wow.
So you can see a microscopic cell going all those inches to reach where the egg is, the fibria head of the fallopian tube. So it must have the energy, must be so morphologically created. Will you call it a shape? It must be like a very sharp bullet. That's why you see even aeroplanes and even these days vehicles, long distance buses, they are shaped like a pyramid with a sharp. Because it will be propelled by a tail and there will be a head, and the head, if it is blunt, cannot swim the whole distance. So we also check the shape and the tail and the energy. And some men produce abnormal sperms that are blunt-headed. Abnormal sperms. Some of them are even double-headed. They split in the middle and they will not make it. So there are many men who have this abnormality of morphologically wrong sperms. So they are there, they are doing their thing, they are blaming the lady for not siring. Kumbe, his sperms are built badly. So we look at that also. The other thing that we look at in great detail, and this can cause men to be infertile, is the kinetic speed, the one I just talked about, the speed, because it's supposed to move from the V to the cervix to the uterus, to the fallopian tube, to the end near the ovary. You see, it's a long distance. Now, so we measure distances. Some men, when they ejaculate, you find the damn thing is like a relay, is like a London marathon with millions and millions, up to 20 to 35 million of these cells.
Okay.
And they are all competing. They are wriggling. You know, they are swimming.
To get there is
like eels,
okay.
like fish.
All right.
Trying to get there, and they compete. I'm telling you, they do.
Wow.
In fact, in my lecture, I used to call it the difficult journey of the sperm cell. It's a tough journey. So some men have very lazy sperm cells. Where he drops them, they stay there.
What informs this? Natural, like this,
No,
you're born that way, lifestyle, like you say?
Lifestyle.
Okay.
This is a lazy man by himself.
All right.
He doesn't do any exercises. He's a DDO, daily drinking officer. He's always drunk. He's the fatso type also is not very good. You know, when they are too big, their sperms tend to be slower. And the kinetic energy, the forward thrust of the sperms matters a lot.
Okay.
So we have three main classifications. Very fast. Those are like the people from the Nilohamites, our friends, who will conquer the whole world. They are very fast.
Yes.
There are others that we call medium. They are not as fast, but they move. There are others that are lazy.
Okay.
They will not go at all. So this last person whose sperms don't move is, of course, infertile. Some are even dead. So what we do, we also count live and dead sperms per ejaculate.
All right.
And in this country, we are getting very many dead
cases of dead
sperms. They are there, all right. We've counted the quantity is good, but they are dead.
So in one moment of pleasure, you could be having cells that are dead and others that are alive.
Alive.
That one moment. Okay.
And some that are very fast, and others that are lazy.
Okay.
And others that are medium. So in a good lab, we measure all that. And this informs also the fertility. You know, when this man has very fast moving, you know, this cell, the sperm cell, is divided into three. There is the head that we described. It must be sharp, must be V-shaped, must be very powerful. And then there is what we call the middle piece. The middle piece is the engine. It is mitochondria. It is the one that is the engine that is propelling the and then there is a tail. And now there is also a problem. Some men have sperms that with very tall tails.
Okay.
When it's again too tall, it's just like a relay again, to the example of the relay. When when they are morphologically wrong with too long tails, like your hair, what happens is they twist
around each other.
We call it agglutination. They agglutinate and they form into balls. It's just like a relay, where some tall guy from probably Rwanda or somewhere, and also from probably somebody whose legs are not very powerful, and he falls down, and all the other people fall down in that relay, and they don't complete the race. So we have men who have sperms whose tails are too long and wide, and they end up agglutinating. So there are very many reasons why a man can be infertile. Now we also check to see whether this man has, we mentioned sufficient energy. We mentioned sufficient fluid. We want to check whether in his lifetime he has had gonorrhea or syphilis or chlamydia or Trichomonas vaginalis, because what happens is when these bacteria go into a man, they end up in the manufacturing unit, which is the viasi itself, the potato, the testis. And there they can precipitate or resort to very many conditions, diseases. I'll mention one, epididymitis. Epididymitis. Epididymis is that place where sperms mature. Once they are manufactured, and it takes, by the way, 72 days to manufacture one sperm. One is an average 72, it could be 65 to 75 days, but 72 days on average to manufacture one sperm.
Wow.
And so every second, billions of sperms are being manufactured. They start every second. Now I'm starting. The others are at the stage 2. So by the time 72nd day comes,
you have
I'll have sufficient to discharge. So there are men who do not mature at all. They are called spermatids. They are there. They did not mature. So that is also a condition that can make the procedure of maturation of sperms.
There are a couple of questions coming in, Dr. and I'd love for you to get to answer them. And even as you expound some more on that particular point, of course, one is asking whether family planning could be a factor towards also altering the processes of the man, you know, their health, reproductive or system. And when they're saying this, is not family planning on their end or contraceptives, you know, they just speak of contraceptives and family planning on the end of the women. So whatever it is that the woman takes or gets in form of family planning, whether it will alter the health processes of a man.
I don't think so.
It doesn't in any way. But there are men who've said contraceptives have affect them in a way, and we know the basic ones that they probably use. Let's hold it and take a short break. Come back on that break.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku. Pata offers zote mahali pamoja ili uongee zaidi, utume SMS zaidi na ubrowse zaidi.
Wewe usijali. Tuma namba ya kila supplier kwa hiyo soko. Ndio nitaongea na kila mmoja wao.
Very good. Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
Raukia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Oh, hi. It's not what you're thinking. It's a cup of coffee. Coffee, movie. Together, Coffee with Movie. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. on TV 47, where we bring you interesting, enticing people. Well, we've concentrated on musicians. Producers.
So now I manage, because telemanagement and events management, I think, was my passion.
Right about now, we want to go beyond to the counties and to other countries. Out here, let the sun stand still like Joshua time for 3 hours, but this time for only 1 hour. We bring you Coffee with Movie. Interesting, enticing guests. Out here, tunaweza anza tuna Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, twende Uganda, Magufuli Land, TZ, you never know. It is Coffee with Movie. jua unaweza enda sasa.
Okay. Hey.
Before the markets open, farmers begin their day, each with a desire to produce the best. But how can they increase the numbers, maintain the standards,
Aitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic.
reduce the cost?
We spread our risk.
Hold it right there. And yes, I'm telling Daktari to hold it because the conversation was still on, even at that point where we were on break. And we're back at that point, and the question at hand is just whether this would, the family planning, the contraceptives would in a way affect the health reproductive system of men. Dr. Ignatius is still with us this morning. And Daktari, I think I'll throw that question to you directly.
Thank you very much. Now, what I know, and as we continued with the conversation, is that directly, what a man would imagine that because my wife has a Depo-Provera, or because my wife has an injection or an implant, or she swallowed tablets, it will not affect. This is systemic. It is going to the brain. We said last time it goes to the pituitary gland, it goes to the hypothalamus, it comes to the ovaries, it goes to the fallopian tubes, it spoils the systemic ones. A condom, of course, many men, I dare say, including myself,
All right.
we don't fancy condoms. Probably Europeans do, but not our people. The wanataka nyama kwa nyama.
Ouch. Twende pole pole.
Oh, is it still early in the morning? Now, the other one is, it could be psychosocial. Men, by their very nature, they want to plant and they want the seed to germinate.
Okay.
Psychologically, men
and then they run away from the responsibility.
No, it's you people who do not follow them. Yesterday was
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, and you are supposed to have celebrated men because it's men who make mothers.
They have their day.
You cannot become a mother if you don't have a man.
But
so it is have our day and have your day.
Okay.
So what we are saying is the intention of a man, and most men, is to get a baby.
Okay.
And I think it was God's plan so that his creation does not end. So when a man imagines that this woman has a P2 in her body, this woman also has an injection, this woman also, has probably a female CD, he's like the man is doing, is with a Samantha of a type, a plastic. So men can be put off by too many, and more so if he's not properly prepared. You have this problem, ladies, and I wish to caution you. You go there, you get an injection or an implant, and you don't tell him.
Okay.
This is criminal.
Is it so?
Oh, yes. It takes two.
Don't you think it will help solve this problem that you raised, that in most cases they are there to sire, and therefore if there's anything that
why don't you discuss with him then? Tell him, look, darling, today I want us to go and visit Dr. Kibe. He should explain to us 12 different methods of family planning, and the one that he thinks is most convenient for us. And I must tell, today morning I had such a case. I had a patient who was like that.
Okay.
She wants me to give her, to select a family planning method for her online. And I said, no, treat this with the seriousness it deserves.
Okay.
Come with your boyfriend or your husband. Let us discuss. Let me take your blood pressure. Let me take your blood sugar. Let me roughly estimate the size of your uterus. Let me estimate, let me see your age, let me see your varicose veins, because all these things will be affected by the family planning.
Okay.
Treat family planning clinically. It's not just another thing that you had through the hairdo doctors. There are some doctors, you ladies. Ati ile mimi niliambiwa where aliambiwa na nani?
Yes.
She was told by another lady who was in the salon with her. Is wrong. Treat it with a serious. You are talking about babies. You are talking about your babies. You are talking about eggs that are in you, and you are being told by a layman in a salon where she's also having her hair done. Is wrong.
Do the medics really take it with the seriousness it deserves?
Oh yes,
Because
they do.
sometimes you find that
when you come for consultation,
yes,
I'll give you 12 different methods, and we shall systematically discuss the side effects of each, the percentage efficacy and efficiency. We shall go top to bottom, 12 different methods. And I'll tell you now, the one that fits. Sometimes you find that this lady has varicose veins.
okay,
And sometimes they have DVTs and they don't know. And they go and place a family planning method that will create a thrombus, a clot in their systems. So it should be treated with a lot of seriousness, and clinically. It is not just another thing. It's not like lipstick. No. Family planning is a serious affair. Now, I want to go slightly further ahead and talk about the problems of men. Where you're coming from is, are men affected by family planning? Oh yes. The other one is, generally, the woman becomes androgenic. What I mean is, when a woman sometimes overdoes it, you find a woman, she already has an injection, a depot, or she has an implant, and then she's also taking a pill. She's overdoing it.
okay,
So what will happen is her hormones, her womanhood will reverse. In our language, in Africa, we say she becomes cold.
okay,
So she's not herself enjoying as much as she would
if she did not have.
Sometimes there is fluid that comes, lubricates the whole process and acts of love and love making and childbearing. There is a fluid from the Bartholin's gland that wets and lubricates the system. If you overuse this family planning, sometimes it dries up.
Oh,
The Bartholin's gland, you start getting dry sex.
okay.
So what we are talking about is all these things must be discussed, and they absolutely do affect a man. A man will know
okay.
that you are
There's some difference.
there is some difference. Now this is becoming drier. So sometimes they will keep probably mafuta ya kukamua, some jelly or something near, or KY jelly or V gel near the bed. Sometimes the baby's oil. You know, those baby oil, and they will lubricate with it. And the reason, let's just start with the reason. The reason is she overused and misused contraception.
Now that we've touched on the ladies briefly, let's just look at this question also that was sent by one individual, and sometimes some of these questions are a little bit personal and therefore allow us not to mention much of the names. And she asks, I needed to consult the doctor on remedies of blocked fallopian tubes. What are the options outside of surgery? If I can get his contacts on him, of course, so that he can get to answer that, I will be at peace.
Well, that is a very big problem, and we've been discussing it several times. Women, I'm telling you, I'm repeating, I want to shout that blocked fallopian tubes are results of sexually transmitted diseases.
Okay.
It's not a condition. You're not born like that. It's not like cryptorchidism in the man. The minute you notice abnormal discharge coming from your private parts, go very fast, go to one of the best doctors in town. Get it done, culture and sensitivity, and get treated, because it will continue burning. We call it inflaming. We say inflammation. Sometimes we even call sexually transmitted diseases, we call them PIDs, pelvic inflammatory diseases. Amechomeka, hata language ya mtaa. Wacha yule msichana alinichoma.
Yes.
Now, ends up with a blocked fallopian tube. It is your shower, it is your responsibility as a lady. You are the one who did it.
Hold it right there. Alice from Kisumu is calling us this morning. Thank you so much for calling in, Alice. How are you? Asante, Daktari is listening to you.
Okay, I wanted to ask. I'm 44 years old and I'm not sexually active, but I normally realize that whenever I have sex, my periods come back.
Okay.
So what could be the problem, what could be the problem? Could Daktari help me with that?
Daktari, you had that question. 44 years
And
old,
again,
not sexually active, but the moment she has sex, then blood started oozing out. What could be the
You've
problem?
used the best language. You said blood coming out. You people, you call every blood from your V period. And I explained repeatedly that period from even primary school is a specific time frame.
This is
On average, after 28 days cycle.
Okay.
So period, if I want to make a joke. Don't take me wrong, Christians. With this lady who touched Jesus, she had a period of 12 years.
no.
I mean,
That's
the
fluid
language of period must be corrected. She is bleeding. It is hemorrhagic. We don't know where the blood is coming from. In fact, in many instances, what she has explained, I would take it very seriously. I would even do a pap smear. If I notice that the minute I go with my girl, she oozes blood, I could even suspect cancer. I would suspect cervix. Cervix is inflamed, and when it is hit several times, then you bruise it and blood comes. It's not periods. Periods must have a specificity of time frame. Periods must have a specificity of the number of days of bleeding. It must be 3 to 4 days. Periods, and not every bleeding in a woman is a period. So let her get tested. Let her go for transvaginal ultrasound scan, and let her do a pap smear, and let her do a transabdominal ultrasound scan. Let her be studied. It is not periods. Let us go back. Where were we?
Yes, we're talking about the men.
The man.
Yes.
And this man, we were
That is
looking-
after a question on the fallopian tube.
Fallopian tube.
Yeah,
Now,
the
let me
blocking.
finish with the fallopian
yes,
tubes.
Yes, but let's also encourage people to keep calling, because
Yeah,
I mean,
keep
as much as
calling,
we're talking
keep
about
calling.
men's reproductive health, it's important that you have all your questions. I mean, this is free
will be
consultation,
answered.
yes?
Yeah,
Free
oh yes.
consultation.
I charge
But on
heavy.
this one-
But on this one, I'm giving free of charge.
I hope Alice is answered.
Let's take it. Now, the fallopian tube issue. Once they block, one thing I want to tell you doctors, especially radiologists, don't tell us blocked fallopian tubes. We said the fallopian tube could be as long as 8 inches. Where did it block?
Okay.
Did it block at the beginning? Did it block at the isthmus? Did it block at the fibrioid? Did it block at the convoid? That language is just like a water pipe. When you are told that maji mfereji umevunjikia wapi? Hapa kwa kitchen, hapo nje, hapo kwa barabara, where? So it's very important. Now that was a small, shall I call it an advice, a piece of advice to radiologists, because we want to know where exactly. Because treatment of a cornwall block at the beginning is not the same as treatment in the middle, is not the same as treatment at the end. Now, where I studied, when it was in the middle, we just used to do a HSG with force, poke, with a lot of, it's like putting pressure on a pipe and forcing water to gush into the fallopian tube.
To unblock.
To unblock. And quite often it succeeded.
Okay.
Sometimes we used to use balloons. We would put balloon which is not inflated, and then we would play with it, inflate it, play with it until we unblock. Sometimes we would probably put even, I used to see even wires to unblock. It depends on where and to what extent.
The blockage.
We also have what we call tuboplasties. Depending on where it is, we have tuboplasty. It's like a blocked fallopian tube, and we want to place a bypass or a tube inside it where there is a jump over to the other side. We also have something we call fibroplasties. Fibroplasties is when it is at the end, and we go there, sometimes laparoscopically, and we slice and open it up. So it is not necessarily, I'm repeating it, is not necessarily, it must not resort to a surgical operation. But where exactly is the block? When somebody says between here and, I'll give an example, Thika, there is a road block. Where? Is it near Pangani? Is it at Ruiru? Is it at Juja? So that we may know even how to bypass. We can go via Kiambu. So you radiologists, you are not doing as good, and surgeons also. Let us talk about probably repairing laparoscopically. Let us talk about probably a fibroplasty. Let us talk about probably what I said, a balloon. There are very many different methods depending on where and how the tube is blocked. The essence, the baseline is, ladies, get treated. I repeat, get treated for the smallest PV discharge. And once you notice that your discharge is even smelly, there is reason to get worried.
Justice from Makadara has a question or maybe something to say in regards to what we are having as a conversation this morning. Justice, good morning. Jambo, Justice. Justice, would you please reduce the volume of your TV set so at least we can get you clearly?
Pick it for me.
Hello?
Yes, Justice, we can hear you.
Nikoda kuuliza daktari. Kama hiyo mambo na roribito unapata wakati uko na msichana, wakati unaenda na yeye pata inalala. Alafu kuna wakati nilikuwa na hiyo ya kutoa uchafu, discharge kwa parents, lakini sio nikaisha. Lakini bado naonanga shida iko.
Come again, can you
unaweza kurudia tafadhali?
Or you pick it up for me.
All right. Just as again, sijakusikia vizuri clearly. Yes.
Nilikuwa na hiyo shida yenye daktari ametuambia hiyo ya kutoa discharge kwa peni.
Okay.
Nikatreat yangu kaisha, lakini naona ni kama it ni affect.
Ikaku affect, what exactly is the problem? What is it that you're experiencing? Hizo pande ya nini zangu zinaitwaje? The system generally, he says he had a problem that you have explained, and akatritiwa, and then eventually alipona. But then again, he feels like it affected him somehow.
No, what happens is good that we pick for 2 minutes.
Yes.
We pick on the physical problems of men.
Right, okay.
And their organs. Because sometimes when a man also gets sexually transmitted diseases, gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, mention them, trichomonas vaginalis, Gardnerella, what? Even herpes. When a man gets this, even what? It climbs up, just like in the lady, it climbs up the urethra. He gets a condition we call urethritis, and a man can also block the tubes.
Okay.
Vas deferens blocks. We have had strictures, you saw? If he cures, the disease is gone, but the scar is still there.
Okay.
Or he healed like a keloid. You know, some people, when they get hurt or when they have a wound, as it heals, it leaves a keloid. It leaves a swollen part, and the bacteria are finished. Okay. So he'll continue having the problems, yes.
Until
sometimes we do tunachukura huko ndani, just like the fallopian tube of a lady.
Right.
A man's urethra can have permanent problems. And we have a test, we have a urogram. We shall climb up with the urogram. Just like in the woman, we said HSG, hysterosonography. We have the ascending urogram. We want to check whether the pipe that brings sperms is blocked or not, or if it has a stricture, or it is half closed. We also check whether he has prostatitis, because sometimes these bacteria grow up, and they spoil the prostate gland, which is an integral part of reproduction in a man. We want to check whether his semenovesicle, the store of sperm, sometimes it gets inflamed, and sometimes it goes on like that through the semenovesicle, through the urethra. It gets urethritis and it climbs up to the kidney and destroys the kidney.
Okay.
You know, you get the man, an infection can go all the way up to cause nephritis in the kidney. Sometimes it climbs down through the same pipes and goes to the testis. And that's what I mentioned, epididymitis. That is what I mentioned. Sometimes it may heal and leave him with something we call a hydrocele, or several small hydroceles or cysts. Okay. So the men are just exactly like women, and there are many men who have cystic testes, or even cystic. They have cysts or damaged prostate gland, prostatitis, or men who have actually, even sometimes we get the semenovesicle blocking. So men are exactly like women, but they don't want to admit.
Hold it, Dr. Psychological effects of the same. Are there scenarios where you probably are healed, but because you still are traumatized by that experience, then you can experience psychological instability?
Absolutely.
That gets you thinking that maybe you're not okay, and in real sense you are.
Absolutely true, and that's why self-treatment is wrong. Okay. Over-the-counter treatment is wrong. And men, it's not expensive. I mean, if somebody has a swollen private part or genitals, the hanging genitals, go for an ultrasound scan. Let us, tunasoma, we read the page by page of that organ.
Nikukate tena kidogo daktari, tuchukue hii simu. Manake it is very important. Derek from Embakasi, jambo.
Good morning. I wanted to inquire. Before my scrotum used to be sagging.
Yes.
Before?
Your scrotum used to be?
Sagging.
Saggy,
Yes.
And nowadays it never sags.
Okay.
It's more stiff.
It's firm, yeah?
Yeah.
You should celebrate or what?
Yeah, you are lucky, man. You are lucky. When they sag, well, they are good. And I keep telling men, why don't you even go checking those of domestic animals?
Okay.
Go and watch. I mean, you are walking around, there are goats, there are dogs, there are cows, there are what. Check at them and you'll find the shape of their testes, and the scrotum itself. And when they hang out further away, the better.
Okay.
Because we want lower temperature, at least.
But hold it right
degrees.
there. He finishes by saying that before they were saggy, but now they are not.
Well, that is probably he has an illness. That's what we are saying. The further away they are, away from the body, the better.
The better.
And that's what. And they are also not of the same size, by the way. What if you watch Atawewe when you go home? Watch the goat, the he-goat. You'll find one testicle is always bigger than the other one.
Yes.
And it hangs further away. If you kept them together on the same level, they will hit one another and they will burst one another. So God, even your kidneys are not on the same level.
Even your eyes,
and the eyes and your breasts.
We still are coming back to answer that because I'm sure he's not gotten the best answer. But let's pick this last call, yeah?
Yes.
From Gilbert. Gilbert, jambo.
How are you?
Hey, Gilbert, tunakusikiza. He's calling from Nairobi, yes?
Yeah, hiyo ni kazi nzuri tunafanya.
Sorry? Kazi nzuri tunafanya, huh?
Asante.
Asante.
And also,
yeah.
I wanted to confirm from the daktari kwamba 72 hours of sperm development ama 72 days.
72 days.
72
days, not hours.
Okay. Thank you. Alisahau akasema days.
Oh, alisema days. Oh, all right. 72. No, I thought he said days.
Yes. Saying days.
Days, not hours.
And I gave an example and I said this minute billions of them are
in process
in my testes, and they are being processed, so that by the 72nd day I'll have sufficient. I'll have 32 million for the first shot, probably 25 million for the second shot, and probably 10 million for the
third one.
And they diminish. And in fact, that is another thing that I want to mention. There are men who are sex maniacs. They start from morning with a girl. By 10 o'clock, he has finished with that one. He's with another one at lunch hour. They stop with that one, and they have their wife at 8.
It is
He'll
possible.
become infertile.
Oh.
Amemwaga kila kitu.
Too much of something is poisonous.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
let's go back to the question that we had earlier on. So this is his concern, that initially it was saggy, but now it is not.
When it is sagging, it is better.
It is better, but now that it is not, he is worried.
Now he should come and we'll check. We'll take an ultrasound scan. We'll check. The scrotum is just a bag. Only that sometimes we get diseases that are between the testes per se,
and the
viazi, and the sac. So and sometimes we get things that we get conditions like hydrocele, like I mentioned, or cysts. But when he's sagging, he's better off. I want to mention something. They also change with what you are doing. If you are a truck driver, and you are always warm, or you are probably a motorbike rider, then they'll sag more. When you go to cold water, they shrink upwards. And I want to mention something before we move out of this question.
Because we're almost actually.
Now, people think that they are sophisticated because they go to hot saunas and they go to swimming pools that are warm. It is wrong. It's wrong. Don't heat up that place. It should be at least 3 to 4 degrees lower than the body temperature for it to manufacture the sperm. So there are some people, I pity cooks, male men who are cooks.
Oh, okay.
With due respect. Because the higher the temperature, the environmental temperature, the less the production of sperms. That's why deliberately, and that's why I'm referring you to when you are walking around, look at the bulls. The better a bull is, the more sagging they are.
Oh.
And remember also that they get sick. And when you notice the smallest swelling, the smallest, the slightest of pain, please come to a good quality doctor.
Dr. Ignatius Kibe.
Not necessarily me, the very qualified who is nearest to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Time is extremely not on our side, but the phone calls, the numerous phone calls that are out here, I do not understand how you're going to tell me you're not here on Monday.
Again, let me give them my contact.
Yes, please. As we close it.
Please don't telephone. Please don't telephone.
Just give them the number so we can close.
0722 534444. Texts only.
0722 534444. The phone calls are many, but time is not on our side, my people. So kindly get a hold of Dr. on that particular number. We hope to hold him again as we have these conversations, because we realize that health is crucial and we are struggling and suffering out here. We can only go out and seek medical advice.
And
thank you
men,
so much.
reproduce. Don't allow
your woman to go for
population to go down.